Well, she's one of the most well-regarded female journalists in the industry, and she's a great friend of ours. Georgie Gardner is a very familiar face here on the Today Extra Desk.
She is indeed, and in between our evening news bulletins, Georgie has been amplifying other great Australian female voices in a brand new podcast. It's called Drive by Future Women, and we are delighted to say that the one and only lovely Georgie Gardner joins us now for more. Good morning to you.
Way too kind. Hello, you
Not
two.
at all.
Missed you. How are you going?
I'm really well, thank you, in this strange new world that we find ourselves in.
Bizarre, isn't
it's
it?
very strange.
Yeah.
Tell us about the podcast process, though, because I know this is something that's very close to you, something you're very keen to explore.
Well, you were onto this far earlier than I was, Sylvia Jeffries. And in fact, I was thinking about this as I was driving in this morning. You introduced me to my very first podcast. Do you remember,
yeah.
Do you remember what it was?
No, what was it?
The Richard Simmons one.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one. Where's Richard Simmons gone?
Yes.
Yes, that's a beauty.
It was
done that
fascinating.
one.
So I reckon that was about 4 or 5 years
That's
ago.
right, yeah.
So I'm very late to the party. However, the timing's been quite good because obviously with COVID, we've got perhaps more time on our hands, or we're looking for escapism. So when this opportunity presented to host a podcast series, I jumped on it, and I think I am now a verified poddy.
Yeah.
Is that what you call it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Podsy?
We do now.
Podsy?
A podizer? Something like that. Yeah.
This whole world has opened up, and I've had this wonderful opportunity to speak to some really interesting women. It's a collection of very big thinkers, very creative thinkers, dynamic women who've also got very big hearts, very strong sense of social justice, and they've all been successful in their own right, in a variety of different fields. And so I guess I just talked to them a little bit about how they've navigated that, their thoughts on various topics, leadership, feminism, how they have immersed themselves in their career paths, but also had a life outside of career.
Well, it's interesting because you speak to Rachel Griffiths, and a fascinating story, because she left here after Muriel's, goes to Hollywood, really starts to get some runs on the board, has some wins, has some losses, moves into TV, but gets very successful, and then relocates back to Australia. And she talks about that pivoting of trying to do that, and sort of like, how am I going to do this? I used to work 60 hours a week in TV, and now I don't have anyone help me around the house. I'm a mum as well.
I know, and I loved the way she talked about, because I don't think this is talked about enough, how in her own home she felt a little bit like a visitor coming back, because she always had the big job and would be away for weeks on end. And then she came home and it was suddenly like, hi everyone, I'm here. And everyone was a bit like, well, guess what? We've got our own routine. And and funnily enough, I felt exactly the same when I left the Today Show, because I hadn't been there for all those mornings for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And I did exactly the same. Hi, everyone, I'm here. And I was making school lunches and checking that you had enough cereal and your hat, and I've ironed your shirt. And everyone was a bit like, could you just back
down.
off?
Calm down, mum.
And I was like, but I'm here. I'm here.
You've missed me,
I'm
right?
present. And I felt very redundant.
Wow.
But interestingly, jokes aside, I reckon there'd be potentially a lot of fathers who feel that,
right.
who are away a lot, and then bring on COVID, and the whole family dynamic is changing again. So
Everyone's
she was a
feeling
joy
that.
to speak to. I've had a wonderful chat to Julia Gillard and Life Beyond Politics.
Tell us a bit about that, because I mean, you would have interviewed her many times in a news sort of environment where you have 4 or 5 minutes tops. You get to sit down and chat for as long as Georgie Gardner wants to chat for, right?
And
Till
how
you
good
hit
is
stop.
that?
Georgie Gardner loves a chat.
And
Georgie Gardner loves a chat.
of a podcast.
Isn't it just?
Yeah.
You've got no one in your ear saying rap, last question, 1 minute to go.
Yeah.
So you're right. And obviously, because of the world we're now in, it was done remotely. She was in Adelaide, I was in Sydney. However, she was just so warm and relaxed and delightful. I said this to her. I said, I used to watch you in these TV environments, and you would go from being a very warm, self-deprecating, affable person, and then the lights would go on, and you'd turn into politician. And I said, it used to frustrate me because I didn't think the public was seeing the
How
whole
did she
Julia
react to
Gillard.
that?
She said, you're right. And it was, and she said, it was a bit... it was a bit frustrating. However, she said, I just felt I just had to get on with business. I had to deliver. And back in those times, politics was very partisan. And she said, I just felt I had to focus on the job at hand, and bad luck if people didn't see the soft side. So that was interesting.
Look, you got to download this podcast. It's great. And there's more to come still. A new episode drops today, I think. So go listen to Georgie on Drive by Future Women on any of your favourite podcast apps, because she's a potty now.
And you say you're late to the party, but we all know the party doesn't get started until Georgie arrives.
Thank you,
We're ready to go.
Thank you.
Lots of love to you, Gigi.
Love
See
to
you soon.
All right, still ahead on Today Extra, out go the 5 and 10 cent pieces. Are they still a thing? As COVID causes a decline in the use of small coins.
Plus, forget Miami Vice, the stories behind the real-life underbelly of the police force in the 80s.
And when America stopped being great. Inside the great new book detailing the downfall of the USA, and it's next on Today Extra.